currently operate, by the way, requirements that Mr. Poilievre voted for when he was part of Mr. Harper's government. That's the first thing. The second is that I have divested all my assets, with the exception of cash and personal real estate, house and a cottage, into the blind trust, as is the route. It's a blind trust. I can't, what that means for those who don't follow this, I have no control over it anymore. It's a blind trust. I have no control. I cannot divest anything from it. I can't change that. The trustee manages it accordingly. I have set up screens for Brookfield and a company called Stripe that I used to be on the board of. I've set those screens up already well in advance. They'll be administered by the clerk of the Privy Council and the Chief of Staff. And as well, I have already filed months and months and months and months in advance with the Ethics Commissioner all the detail of when the divestitures happen, all the details of those assets. So again, I've complied with all the aspects. I've over-complied, in fact, well in advance, and this is the system we have, and I'm proud that we have it because it draws a sharp contrast with what other countries have. Sorry, Steve. Back to you.
As far as we know, you've not spoken to Donald Trump since you took office. No. What effort precisely have you made to speak with him? And what is your government doing precisely to prepare for the April 2nd tariffs?
So with respect to the President is waiting for the outcome of the election and see who has a strong mandate from Canadians, or who has a mandate from Canadians. Is it someone who is, to quote Daniel Smith, who's in sync with him? Or is it someone who's going to stand up for Canadians? I'm going to stand up for Canadians. I hope Canadians will back me, and then we'll have a discussion on the basis of as follows, and I'll come to your second part of your question in a moment. On the basis of the following. First, respect for our country as a sovereign nation. You would think, you would expect, given what these people have done and the long history, you would think respect and friendship for Canada. I'm just looking for respect at this point, acknowledgement of our sovereign nation. Secondly, given the scale of the U.S. trade actions against steel and aluminum, which is absolutely against the terms of CUSMA, given the series of other actions and the prospective actions on the 2nd of April, we need to have a comprehensive discussion with the Americans on the broader economic and, I would say, security partnership as well. So we'll wait for that. In terms of preparations, we have done the following. We have identified a list of goods and services, but mainly goods, 155 billion of which 30 have tariffs on. So there's an additional 125 that we could put retaliatory tariffs on, depending on what the Americans do, first thing. Secondly, we have put in place those protections for workers through a series of changes to the EI, including some that were announced on Friday, so that there's no waiting period, there's no severance period. You can have job sharing, all these aspects to provide. And those will be paid for by the tariff revenues, or we won't need all of them, but some of them through the tariff revenue. Again, Pierre Poilievre, simple solution, take the tariff revenues, pocket it, have a tax cut. Third thing we've done is we have put in place major supports for our largest companies and our smaller companies, smaller ones through BDC, EDC, farm credit as well, but liquidity support and ability to change the timing of tax payments for companies as well, all of which will supply financial support if necessary in the face of that. So we've done a number of things. I can go on, but I know we've got a lineup here. We've done a number of things to put us in a strong position. See, this is a fundamental mistake that the Americans are making. They think they will weaken us. They think that they can own us, quite frankly. That's what they think. We are going to get stronger. We are going to wait this out. They're going to come to the table, and we're going to negotiate a good deal for the Canadians. Thank you, Steve.
Sir, did you say that President Trump is waiting to talk to the Prime Minister of whoever wins this election?
Well, that's an interpretation, but I think it's a reasonable interpretation. I'm available for a call, but you know, we're going to talk on our terms as a sovereign country, not as what he pretends we are, and on a comprehensive deal.
En français, sur l'appel avec M. Trump.
C'est l'appel. On a du temps? OK. En ce qui concerne, il faut avoir une discussion compréhensive avec lui. Il faut nous donne, il faut qu'il nous donne du respect comme un pays souverain. Et nous, ça suffit pour M. Trump. Il y a un autre aspect, plusieurs d'autres aspects de ma réponse, mais il faut continuer.
Bonjour, M. Carney.
Oui.
Émilie Bergeron, la presse canadienne. Vous continuez d'être questionné sur vos avoirs et vos possibles conflits d'intérêts. Les conservateurs continuent de vous attaquer là-dessus.
Ouais.
Est-ce que ça pourrait être une source de distraction à votre campagne et comment vous allez vous assurer que ça n'en soit pas une? Est-ce que vous pourriez justement aller au-delà, en faire encore plus?
Oui, merci pour votre question. J'ai déjà fait plus. Plus et plus rapidement que nécessaire. J'ai une fiducie déjà 6 mois avant les règles. J'ai déjà disposé tous mes actifs. Je n'ai qu'une maison, une chalet et puis de l'argent moi-même. Tout est pas disparu, mais c'est dans une fiducie. J'ai déjà mis un écran pour Brookfield et tout cela. Alors, c'est déjà fait. Et c'est pas une surprise. Le Parti conservateur n'a pas beaucoup d'idées. Il y a une idée de réduire les impôts, une autre idée de couper des programmes, et c'est tout. Et il y a des slogans. C'est tout. Hein.
Sur un autre sujet, y a-t-il un risque en faisant un virage à droite que ce soit considéré trop à droite pour que certains libéraux progressistes ou même des électeurs néo-démocrates soient découragés de voter pour vous et comment vous assurez un équilibre?
OK. Oui. Merci pour votre question. Alors, il faut avoir une économie forte. Ça, c'est nécessaire. C'est nécessaire pour les négociations avec les Américains, mais c'est nécessaire d'avoir des programmes de soins de santé, d'assurance médicale, des garderies et tout le filet social du Canada. Je suis un libéral. Pour les libéraux, il faut avoir les deux. Il faut avoir une économie forte. Et nous avons un plan, nous mettons en œuvre des initiatives afin d'avoir une économie forte, un Canada fort. Mais en même temps, il faut protéger les plus vulnérables dans notre société.
Donc, vous diriez que vous êtes au centre droit, c'est ça?
Oui, au centre, oui.
On va prendre une dernière question
Merci.
de la délégation avant de faire la question locale, s'il vous plaît.
Bonjour, M. Carney, c'est Fanny Olivier de Radio-Canada. Le chef conservateur Pierre Poilievre vous met au défi de participer au face-à-face de TVA. Est-ce que vous allez le faire?
Pourquoi pas?
Pourquoi pas?
Oui, pourquoi pas, oui. Il y aura des débats entre les chefs et tous les chefs, parce que si c'est TVA, c'est... Pour tous les débats, il faut avoir tous les chefs, alors M. Blanchet, puis M. Singh, Mme May, y compris M. Poilievre et moi-même, ouais.
Tout à l'heure, à ma collègue, vous avez dit qu'en ce moment, les dépenses croissent de 9 % par année au sein de l'appareil gouvernemental. À combien précisément voudriez-vous fixer le seuil de croissance des dépenses de l'appareil d'État?
Merci pour votre question, mais c'est trop simple. C'est une question de le taux de croissance de l'économie et des d'autres dépenses. On ne peut pas... la gestion budgétaire, ce n'est pas aussi simple que ça. On dit, OK, c'est 1 point de pourcentage comme cela. Okay.
Et merci. Maintenant, pour les questions locales, s'il vous plaît. Local questions.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Patrick Porter, Radio-Canada Acadie. En 2019, la plateforme du Parti libéral du Canada a promis, le parti a promis de se pencher sur la construction de gros projets d'infrastructure. Vous parlez beaucoup d'infrastructures ces temps-ci. on a fait mention spécifiquement de la construction d'un tunnel entre Terre-Neuve et le Labrador. Vendredi dernier, M. Champagne il disait aux provinces, suggérez-nous des projets d'intérêt national pour stimuler l'économie.
Ouais.
Est-ce qu'un gouvernement Carney va construire ce tunnel évoqué il y a 6 ans?
Je n'étais pas là en 2019, mais j'étais là vendredi dernier avec tous les premiers ministres. Nous avons eu une bonne discussion sur des projets de l'intérêt national et le fédéral a déjà, ou nous sommes en train de mettre en œuvre des grands changements, comment nous soutenons des grands projets. Personne ne l'a mentionné, le tunnel, pendant cette réunion, mais on verra. C'est une question. Il faut travailler ensemble. Ça, c'est un des messages. Il faut travailler ensemble. Les provinces, le fédéral, les peuples autochtones, tout cela. Alors, on attend des grands projets. Il y a beaucoup à ce moment-là, mais comme j'ai dit, personne ne l'a mentionné vendredi dernier.
Hier soir, il y avait des pêcheurs assez frustrés devant le Palais des Congrès à Saint-Jean. Est-ce que ça vous inquiète? Ce sont des gens qui viennent de l'extérieur de la ville, où il y a déjà une présence conservatrice à Terre-Neuve. Est-ce que ça vous inquiète? Est-ce que ça va être plus serré en région?
Pas du tout. C'est absolument approprié que les gens sont là pour exprimer leur frustration avec la situation. Et un des messages importants, et il faut que le ministère de Pêcherie et d'Océan est plus proche des pêcheurs. D'accord.
Dernière question, last question, please.
The second question. Look, it's entirely right that the harvesters were there yesterday. The Minister of Fisheries met with some of their representatives last evening. I understand their frustrations. Given the situation in the water. Of course, they want a sustainable fishery, sustainable livelihoods. We're listening to their concerns, and what it underscores for me is, as I said last evening, the importance of the Department of Fisheries and Oceans being closer to the wharf, and it's something that I had already asked the Minister of Fisheries to look at as a potential structural change in the department. We did a lot in 9 days since I was sworn in, but those structural changes take longer, and if we're re-elected, we will be looking at that very closely. Thank you.
Hi, Troy Turner, local CBC. Of course, fishery is the lifeblood of rural Newfoundland,
Yep.
and the population of rural parts of this province, as I'm sure the rest of the country, are decreasing dramatically. What can be done, I guess, in terms of policy to give these people, I guess, a viability into the future and hope that their communities won't die?
Well, I think there's a lot that needs to be done, that's the first thing. So there's no one silver bullet. Part of the minimum is ensuring that the social services, the supports are there for these communities as well as they are developed in our cities, so that, for example, both parents can go to work, so there's access to childcare, so there's access to the health care that people deserve, all aspects of that health care. And then there's a fundamental issue, there's two sets of issues. There's issues around the lifeblood of these communities, as you just said, so a sustainable fishery. There are rural communities, your question referenced across the country, so sustainable farming and agricultural policies, including for supply management. And then as well, what are we doing? That's the question for us, and we'll be clear on this. What are we doing as our economy is changing to ensure that those changes benefit the rural economy? So one of the basic one of the biggest changes over the next 10 years. It's not clear to me how much in a debate, TVA or wherever, this is going to come up. But how are we harnessing as a country, all parts of this country, and very much including the outports and rural Canada, harnessing artificial intelligence and what that brings to the benefit of people. And in order to do that, you can't just cut taxes and expect everything to happen. You have to work with the provinces and others to train people, bring them up, and move forward. Thank you.
This puts an end to our press conference. C'est ce qui m'a fait la conférence de presse. Thank you.
Can I take the one last question
Sure.
there? If I take the one last, just the look on your face made me, it was like, okay, sorry.
Just how I drew it up. Nick Mercer with the Telegram of St. John's. The only question I really had was why was it important for you to sort of start things off in Newfoundland and Labrador?
Thank you. Thanks for the question. Multiple reasons. One, the spirit, I'm going to start with today, the spirit of Gander and the spirit of this province and the people of the province is a model for our country. And I do believe that part of what this election is about is what kind of Canada are we building? Not just physically are we building, but as Canadians. And the best behaviors, modeling the best behaviors that we're there for each other during this time is important. And then, of course, at the same time, Newfoundland and Labrador, as elsewhere in the country, facing short-term challenges on affordability. What are we doing to address those head-on? And laid that out last night. But where are we going? Where are we going as a country? How do we take control of our destiny so we don't wake up and have to listen to the latest thing coming out of the White House? And we have a very clear plan to do that. I want to bring that to the people here and combine the two. A serious economic plan that's going to grow this economy, that's going to make us stronger as the Americans get weaker, that's going to put us in a better position, but it's going to grow jobs for everyone, with the spirit of Gander, since I'm here in Gander, with the spirit of Gander, the spirit of Canada. And that combination is incredibly powerful. So there was no better place to start this campaign, and I'm blessed, and my only regret is that the nature of these campaigns is that shortly I think I'm allowed to have lunch, which I'm looking forward to, and then shortly I'll be moving on from here. Thanks for your question. Thanks for coming. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.